right, everyone. Today we are going to discuss the topic of the 5 biggest mistakes riders can make after a crash and how to avoid them. Welcome to a Mototalks with Mitch Mel, brought to you by Proner & Proner, a law firm with a global presence and expertise that feels local and personal. And I'm your host and fellow rider, Melvin Gukoyup. We'll be sitting down with a personal injury expert and rider, Mitch Proner, a lawyer with over 30 years of experience and a rider for over 40 years, here to answer your questions and share insights you'll find useful in the personal injury world. Now, before we get started, folks, remember that all consultations are free and confidential. Reach us at any time at 1-800-321-1234. How you doing, Mitch?
Doing great. Got a great topic today.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely seen it more than once when I was working in the moto industry. So yeah, please, let's dive into it right away.
Okay, so I'm going to give 5 mistakes the riders make
right
after a motorcycle accident, and I'll give a bonus one at the end. All right, so the first one is, and I know this is controversial among some riders, and I'll get into that in a moment, is not calling the police. Now, some people think, oh, well, what do you mean? Why wouldn't I call the police? There are members of motorcycle clubs that some of them are my friends that say to me, Mitch, if I call the cops, they'll throw me out of the club. and that's a real concern. But let me give you the legal ramifications of not calling the police. Now, typically, insurance carriers value what is said on a police report. Insurance adjusters value what is said on a police report. That police report and what's written on it typically is not admissible if the case goes to trial. Meaning a lot of what's documented on a police report will never get in front of a jury if the case isn't settled. So in a police report in New York, for example, in the upper right-hand corner of an aided accident report are little boxes, and the police officer can indicate contributing causes and can attribute fault to the rider or the driver of the car.
Right.
That finding of the police officer most likely will never get in front of a jury. The police officer's determination of fault doesn't take the place of the jury. The jury decides who's at fault, not the police officer. But when an attorney is negotiating on behalf of the rider, what the police officer wrote down, even though it's not evidence admissible in a court of law, can be useful to getting the case settled. And most riders don't want to have their case go into litigation and wait years to get paid. Most riders want to get paid right away. Not having that police report leaves the carrier and their adjuster to say, before we evaluate this claim, before we pay out on the bike, we got to speak to our insured. And while at the accident scene, the driver of the car might be saying, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you, and this and that. When they get home and they talk to their husband or their wife or their buddies, and they talk about how now their rates are going to go up, their story might change. And it frequently does.
Right.
So having that opportunity to get the police there can make your case much easier to settle. Well, let's suppose you don't want to talk to the police. You don't care what advice I give you. Well, then I'll give you the number 2 way that riders screw up. They don't document the scene. It used to be to take photos and to get a witness statement was a lot of work. People didn't have a camera on them. You needed to send an investigator out. Nowadays, everybody's got a cell phone. And the cell phones, they do so many things. So one time, I happened to be at an accident scene on my bike with the father of a kid who unfortunately had a motorcycle accident and two of his buddies.
Okay.
And we all met at the accident scene on bikes, including me. And we're talking about how the accident happened, and I'm taking photos with my phone. And all of a sudden, one of the guys says, "No!" And we turn around and we see a woman backing up, and she's dragging a bike on its side behind her car.
Oh no.
And we all start running, and we're like, "No, no." And I know as I was running, and probably these other guys were thinking, like, whose bike is that? And then as we got closer, I was like, "Oh, it's mine."
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that
So
sucks.
my bike just being pushed behind.
Wait, what was it? What did you have then?
Road Glide.
What, 20?
A 2016 Road Glide.
Oh
Harley Davidson
no.
Road Glide.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Which, for those of you that don't know Harleys, it's, one of the big sleds with saddlebags and the fairing and the whole thing. And why she didn't see it, I don't know. But anyway, so we go up, stop, stop, stop. And she stops. And I say, "Ma'am, you knocked over my bike." And she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see it. I was backing up and I guess I didn't look. I was looking for oncoming traffic and I didn't see the bikes parked on the side of the road. I'm so sorry." So I said, "Wait a second." I took out my phone and I recorded her with a video. And I
There you
said,
go.
"Please say that again." And most people know how to take photos. And if you know how to take photos, you know how to take a video. And I got her at the accident scene and I said, "Please say it again." And she knew she was being videotaped. She was like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't see your bike. I was backing up." I said, and you mentioned that you were looking for oncoming traffic." She goes, "That's right. I was looking for oncoming traffic. I wasn't looking behind my window. I was looking over my shoulder. I was backing up, and I didn't see it. And it's all my fault." And I said, "Thank you." Now, then click, 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 click. Then I say to her, "Can I have your license and registration insurance?" With my same phone. Click, 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 click. You just have to write it all down. Now you don't even have to worry about writing it down. Photos of the car, photos of the license plate, photos of everything, photos of where it was. Now, it used to be that was like $60 to develop the film.
Yeah.
And you had to go to a place and then go back to get it and then put it someplace safe. You don't even have to do that anymore. From your phone, you can email it to your lawyer. You do all this, right? Now, I had a motorcycle accident that was more serious than this, where I was injured. I had a buddy who was a passenger on my bike, and I was riding and got hit by a cab. My buddy, he went over. It was like, it was a left turn. The cab turned, and there was a T impact. My buddy who was behind me launched over me. I was just giving him a ride, and I had one helmet, and this was like, we were kids. I was 28,
Hmm.
and my buddy launched over me, and I went through the front of the bike. Now, my buddy, I said to him, "Wear the helmet." He said, "No, you wear the helmet." And we argued over it. He says, "If you make me wear the helmet, I'm just going to drop it off and let it roll back. You'll never know. You show up at, and where we're going, and neither one of us going to have a helmet." And I said, "All right." So I wore the helmet. My buddy didn't have a helmet, hit his head and opened it up, and blood was coming down his face. It was the most gruesome thing I ever saw.
Right.
Meantime, I thought I was all right. It turned out my buddy got a couple of stitches, was fine. I broke my wrist, my ankle, and 7 bones in my back. I was in the hospital for about a month. But after the accident, I was walking around. I was scared about him. The cops came and they wanted to cut off my boots. And I was like, no, no, no. Oh, I don't want you ruining my boots. I'll take them off myself. And I took off my boots. Meantime, my ankle was busted. I didn't even realize because your adrenaline's going.
Right.
So you could take photos and then get yourself checked out afterwards. A lawyer could explain that. Doesn't mean you weren't hurt. If there's x-rays showing you were hurt, your x-rays showing you're hurt. Or if your adrenaline's running. It makes sense. And that's reality. But that gets to mistake number 3. Oftentimes, people are concerned about their bike and not their health. That bike that I got and that I had in that accident, it was totaled.
Oh no.
No, my frame was torqued. My forks were bent.
Yeah.
And once your frame is tweaked,
yeah.
Some people say, "Oh, I'll get a new one. I'll get a Paco frame. I'll do whatever." I don't care what you're doing. Your bike's totaled. You could always get another bike. I've had probably, I don't know, at least 10 bikes since then. I only have one body. My wrist that I broke still isn't the same. Didn't stop me from, riding. It took me about a year before I could. But the point is, you could always get another bike. You can't get another body. People say, "Oh, that was a show bike." I don't care what kind of bike it was. It was one of a kind. They don't make that Triumph Bonneville anymore. Not that one. You could always get another bike. You could ride. Your health's one thing. Get yourself looked at. Unfortunately, some people don't get the right medical attention they need, and some people die.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that from I've done those cases. I'm talking from personal experience. Not getting the proper medical attention immediately could be life or death. You don't always know if you got internal bleeding. You're worried about your bike, you get another bike. You get the right lawyer, get you 10 bikes. Your health is forever. So, not calling the police, not documenting the accident scene, not getting medical attention. Number 4, admissions and apologies. You say, "I'm so sorry." You're a nice guy. You're also stupid. You say, "I'm sorry. It's okay. I apologize." You know something? The insurance carrier could use that to show that you knew you're at fault.
Mm.
And you're just telling the other person, it's okay, it's not your fault. These things happen. No. Accidents don't just happen. That's something your mother told you when they picked you up, when you were too stupid to know to pick your feet up when you tripped over a crack. You're older now. They don't even call on police reports. They don't even call them on the official forms motor vehicle accident reports. They call them motor vehicle collision reports, motor vehicle crash reports, because nothing happens by accident. They happen because people fail to obey the rules of the road. So don't apologize and don't admit fault. "Oh, Officer, I only had 2 beers, but I wasn't drunk. You just admitted you were drunk, because nobody on a jury is going to believe you only had 2 beers. They're going to think you had 17 beers and you were loaded. So don't admit to anything. You're not required to. You've heard the expression, I'll take the fifth. Everybody has the right against self-incrimination. You don't have to admit to anything. You're worried. They ask you a question, you don't want to lie, but you don't want to admit anything either. I'm sorry, officer. On the advice of counsel, I'm not giving any statements to you without my attorney present. Where's your attorney? I'd have to call him. Call me. All right. I mean, it's not the best, but it's better than admitting or apologizing. Of course, it's always good to say they pulled out of the stop sign without stopping. They pulled out of the parking lot without looking, because that's what people do. If the other side did something wrong, don't hesitate to tell the police what they did wrong. You could point out what the other people did wrong. Just don't admit fault. Don't apologize. But certainly, if you know the other side did something wrong, they were speeding, whatever it is, tell the cops what they did wrong. Number 5, if you're keeping track.
I am.
Number 5 is talking to the insurance company without a lawyer. You're not required to. Insurance companies, they're not your good neighbor. They're not like a good friend. They're big businesses that collect as much as possible in premiums and pay out as little as possible in claims. Their people are trained to get you to say things to minimize what they would have to pay out. And you're not trained. But an attorney can give you advice, legal advice, as to what to say and what not to say to increase your recovery financially after an accident. So you shouldn't be giving any statement without the advice of counsel. Tell them, I'd be happy to give you a statement. You just got to go through my lawyer. And then I'm not going to let them give you a statement unless you're prepared. When you're prepared, then you could give a statement, not before. And that doesn't mean telling you to lie, but you'll know how to answer questions. That's what attorneys do, at least a good attorney. Lastly, the bonus question.
I was going to ask you.
The bonus. What do people do wrong? They post on social media. Posting on social media is going to be used by insurance carriers and lawyers to show you made a full recovery financially, emotionally, from a pain and suffering and injuries. Because what happens is everybody has that thing. You're taking a photo. You know, just because you're in pain doesn't mean you can't be like, oh, he's in the hospital. He wasn't having such a bad time in the hospital. Look at him. Give him a thumbs up. I just did that for my wife. You just gave away your money that you're entitled to. The law says you're entitled to money for pain and suffering if you're not at fault for a collision. It doesn't say you have an obligation to smile and post it on Instagram so that the insurance carrier doesn't have to pay you. But as a matter of fact, by law, as part of the discovery process, when you put your condition at issue, and part of a personal injury case in New York is you're entitled to be compensated. If you bring a personal injury case, you're entitled to be compensated for pain and suffering, including any loss in the quality or ability to enjoy life. Now, quality of life, ability to enjoy life, well, social media is probative. So if your attorney refused to give your password, they can get a court order, and they might get a court order disclosing it. And sometimes, even without that court order, they show up and they got the whole thing. I've had clients where I'm like, you post on? No, I don't post. You haven't? So no. Next thing you know, they're in court and they're showing all my clients' posts. I said, what are you doing? I asked you. And they say, oh, I didn't think they'd find that. It's not even my name. And I'm like, you didn't set the privacy? Yeah, they're my friend. I don't know how they got it. But it happens. It's happened to me repeatedly. Because people think they can game the system. The only one you game is yourself. So you want to post on social media and you think you're not going to get caught? F around and find out.
Hey, Mitch, I actually had a question on that, the bonus question. I've seen it myself where people post they just got in an accident and they're like, oh, I just got hit, or here's the accident. What are your thoughts on that? Like the same moment or soon after, posting the accident immediately after it occurs.
What's the benefit?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people do that.
There's no benefit. So your friends could say, oh, how you doing, Joe? You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. What's the benefit? There's no benefit. Don't do it. Instead of posting on Facebook, call a lawyer.
There you go.
Get the medical attention you need.
Yeah.
If you get checked out and you're okay, a good lawyer will still get you the money for those bills. Don't worry about it. Your health's more important than the cost of an ambulance. And a good attorney's going to get you that money. And then some. Pain and suffering.
Yep.
So that's it for today.
Excellent.
5 mistakes and a bonus.
And a bonus. And I like the bonus one myself. Well, there you have it, folks. Straight from the expert himself, Mitch Proner. If you need our help, call us 24/7 at 1-800-321-1234, where all consultations are free and confidential. That's going to wrap it up for now. Thank you for tuning in, whether it's on our podcast, video broadcast. We really do appreciate it. And if you haven't done it yet, please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. Like, share, and please subscribe to get the latest updates. Now, before we go, Mitch, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I hope the weather's nice. I hope you're enjoying the riding season and stay well and stay safe and have fun. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you again, Mitch, for another informative session. And thank you all for checking us out. And remember, we ride just like you and are here to help you when you need us. We'll see you next time. Thanks again, Mitch.
All right. Be well. Bye-bye.